It's late at night, and you're mindlessly scrolling through your phone. Every other post seems to feature a luxury SUV, a beach vacation, a Rolex, or another designer shopping spree. After a while, a familiar thought starts creeping into your mind. If I ever become financially successful, people are going to expect me to live like that too. But here's the reality most people never hear. One of the fastest ways to destroy wealth is by spending it trying to convince everyone else you have it. Many of the people showing off their lifestyle aren't nearly as wealthy as they appear. They're carrying massive car payments, credit card balances, and mortgages that leave almost no room for error. One unexpected setback, and the entire picture falls apart. The people who are actually winning financially usually look surprisingly ordinary. The man standing in line at the grocery store wearing faded sneakers might own several rental homes that generate steady cash flow every month. The woman driving a 10-year-old Toyota could have hundreds of thousands of dollars quietly growing inside low-cost index funds. That's the real strategy. Build wealth quietly. Live your life without feeling the need to advertise every financial milestone while your investments keep working behind the scenes. Then one day, you wake up with something money can't easily buy: freedom. Meanwhile, everyone else is still chasing appearances, chasing approval online, and making payments they can't comfortably afford. That's exactly what this video is about. We're going to break down 5 powerful financial shifts that allow you to build real wealth without drawing attention to yourself. And as you'll see, these shifts are just as much about mastering your psychology as they are about managing your money. I'm Ivan, and I spend an unhealthy amount of time studying personal finance, investing, and the habits that quietly separate people who build lasting wealth from those who stay stuck, living paycheck to paycheck. If you're ready to take control of your financial future, instead of letting your money control you, subscribe to the channel. And if you find this video valuable, hit the like button. It really helps. Think about building wealth the same way you think about getting stronger in the gym. If you walk in on your first day and load the bar with more weight than you can handle just to impress everyone watching, chances are you'll fail the lift, hurt yourself, and maybe never come back. But if you keep showing up, adding a little more weight over time, and focusing on consistency instead of attention, something incredible happens. One day, you're lifting weights that once seemed impossible. Wealth works exactly the same way. Show it off too early, and you often end up losing it. Build it quietly, and over time, it grows into something that no longer needs an introduction. That brings us to the first financial shift: learn to disappear. This is where so many people unknowingly slow down their own progress. Instead of making progress, they're constantly trying to prove they're making progress. Hours disappear posting updates, checking notifications, scrolling through feeds, and looking for validation. Every notification gives your brain a small dopamine reward. The problem is that your brain often treats talking about your goals as if you've already accomplished part of them. That small feeling of satisfaction actually reduces the urgency to do the hard work afterward. The result? Some people spend years looking successful online, while the people who stayed quietly become successful in real life. That's why disappearing can be such a powerful advantage. When you stop announcing every plan, every new idea, and every next move, you regain something incredibly valuable: your focus. Think of your goals like planting seeds. You don't dig them up every few days just to show everyone the roots. You plant them, you water them, you protect them, and you give them time to grow where nobody can see. When you stop chasing outside approval, your energy shifts toward actual progress. And eventually, when people notice the results, they speak far louder than any social media post ever could. Try this for just 1 week. Take a break from social media. Delete the apps if you need to. Pay attention to how much time, attention, and mental clarity suddenly come back into your life. That quiet space may become one of the biggest competitive advantages you ever create for yourself. Now let's move to the second shift: live below the radar. This is where countless people quietly sabotage their finances without realizing it. The average new car in America now costs around $50,000. The moment you drive it off the dealership lot, a significant portion of its value disappears. Then come insurance premiums, registration fees, maintenance, repairs, and depreciation, costing you thousands of dollars year after year, all to project an image of success. Ironically, many of the people driving expensive cars are under tremendous financial pressure behind the scenes. Real wealth isn't measured by what you spend, it's measured by what you keep. Warren Buffett still lives in the same home he bought back in 1958. Mark Zuckerberg has famously driven relatively modest cars, despite being one of the richest people on earth. They could buy a different luxury car every day for the rest of their lives without noticing the cost. They simply choose not to, because they understand something that most people never do. The expensive car isn't the prize, financial freedom is. And that's an incredibly important psychological shift. The more your identity depends on expensive possessions, the more financial pressure you create for yourself. Higher payments, higher expectations, more stress. Eventually, you become trapped maintaining an image instead of building a future. But when you stop trying to impress everyone else, that pressure disappears. You spend less, you worry less, and you gain something far more valuable than status: freedom. That's why the quiet millionaire driving an older Toyota often has far more financial freedom than the person leasing a brand new BMW they can barely afford. One path quietly compounds wealth, the other quietly compounds stress. Take a look at your own life for a moment. Think about your biggest recurring expenses: your car payment, your housing costs, your clothes, your weekends, your vacations. Now ask yourself one simple question: am I paying for something that genuinely improves my life, or am I paying to impress other people? If the honest answer is the second one, you already know where the problem is. Because every dollar you stop spending on appearances becomes another dollar that can start working for your future. Over time, those small decisions become an army of invested dollars that quietly grows year after year through the power of compounding. By now, you've seen how disappearing from the spotlight and living below the radar completely changed the game. You stop wasting energy trying to prove yourself. You stop wasting money trying to look successful. That's the foundation. But even people who master those habits often run into another obstacle. And this one has far more to do with psychology than investing. The third shift is protecting your goals. It sounds simple, but it's one of the biggest reasons people give up before they ever build momentum. Research consistently shows that negative feedback has a much stronger emotional impact than positive feedback. In other words, one careless comment can outweigh a dozen encouraging ones. Imagine this: you're excited because you've decided to start a business. You've done the research, you're motivated, you're finally ready to take action. Then someone close to you laughs. That's risky. Most businesses fail. Are you sure you're the kind of person who can actually pull this off? Suddenly, confidence turns into hesitation. You begin second-guessing yourself. You delay taking action. Maybe you stop before you even really begin. That's the danger of giving the wrong people access to your dreams. New goals are fragile. They're like young plants that haven't developed strong roots yet. Put them in the wrong environment, and they never get the chance to grow. That's why protecting your goals matters so much. Share them with people who will challenge you in productive ways. Mentors, people who have already built what you're trying to build. People who genuinely want to see you succeed. For everyone else, silence is often your greatest advantage. Nobody can discourage a dream they don't even know exists. Think about one goal you're working toward right now. Instead of announcing it to everyone, keep it private. Write it down. Track your progress for yourself. Focus on building momentum instead of collecting opinions. You may be surprised how much faster progress comes when your energy stays focused on execution instead of explanation. Now let's move to the fourth shift. Play the long game. Most people have never heard of Ronald Reed. He worked as a janitor and later at a gas station. He never earned an extraordinary salary. He never became famous. He never lived a flashy lifestyle. But when he passed away, he had accumulated an investment portfolio worth around $8 million. Not because he got lucky, not because he inherited money, because he understood something incredibly powerful. Consistency over decades beats excitement over months. He quietly invested year after year, allowing time to do the heavy lifting. That's the part many people struggle with. The math behind wealth building is actually pretty straightforward. The psychology is what makes it difficult. Invest $300 every month into a diversified index fund earning an average annual return of around 7%. And after 30 years, you could end up with more than $370,000. Increase that to $500 a month, and you're well over $600,000. Invest $1,000 a month, and you're looking at more than $1 million. The numbers aren't the hard part. The waiting you whiz. Most people expect dramatic results after a few months. When they don't see them, they lose patience. They stop investing. They start over with something else. And they repeat that cycle for years. The people who quietly build wealth do something much less exciting. They automate their investments. They stay consistent. They let time work on their behalf. Picture two coworkers. One proudly signs a lease on an expensive new luxury SUV. The other quietly invests the same monthly payment into an index fund. 10 years later, one has a vehicle that's worth a fraction of what they paid for it. The other has built a six-figure investment portfolio. That's the difference between buying status and buying freedom. The best part is that you don't have to be perfect. You simply have to stay consistent. Even investing $50 a month is infinitely better than waiting for the perfect moment. Set up automatic contributions so your progress doesn't depend on motivation, because compounding doesn't care about excitement. It only cares about time. That brings us to the fifth and final shift. Be willing to pay a price that most people refuse to pay. This is the part almost nobody likes hearing. Everyone wants financial freedom. Very few people are willing to make the sacrifices that create it. Comfort feels good today, but chasing comfort all the time often costs you freedom tomorrow. Think about how the average weekend is spent. Hours of streaming, shopping, bars, restaurants, impulse purchases, constant entertainment. Meanwhile, the people quietly building wealth are often using at least part of that same time differently. They're learning valuable skills, building businesses, reading, improving their careers, investing. They're willing to exchange some short-term comfort for long-term freedom. Modern life constantly encourages immediate gratification. Everything is designed to make spending money feel effortless. But comfort can become the biggest enemy of long-term wealth, because before wealth ever requires financial sacrifice, it requires personal sacrifice. Your time, your energy, your discipline, your willingness to keep going when nobody else notices. And perhaps the hardest part of all is that many of the people around you won't understand your choices. They'll invite you to spend more, go out more, buy more, keep up with everyone else. Without realizing it, they'll encourage you to trade tomorrow's freedom for today's convenience. Every time you say no, you'll probably feel a little out of place. That's part of the process. The real cost of building wealth isn't just the extra hours or the delayed gratification. It's being willing to make choices that most people around you won't understand. But here's what makes it worth it. Give up one weekend each month to work on your future. Trade an hour of endless scrolling each night for learning a new skill, building a side income, or improving your finances. You don't have to give up everything you enjoy. You just have to give up enough to build momentum. And once that momentum starts building, those sacrifices stop feeling like sacrifices. They begin to feel like freedom. Now maybe you're thinking, that sounds great, but inflation keeps making everything more expensive. The stock market crashes all the time. I'm already struggling to cover my bills. Those are fair concerns. Yes, inflation is real, which is exactly why leaving all of your money sitting in a checking account usually works against you. Keep enough cash set aside for emergencies, but let the rest work for you in investments that have historically outpaced inflation over the long run. And yes, markets do crash. That's why consistency matters more than timing. When you automatically invest the same amount every month, a strategy known as dollar cost averaging, you actually benefit from market declines. Lower prices allow you to buy more shares. Then, when markets recover, you're holding more assets than you otherwise would have. Maybe you are also thinking that you simply don't have enough extra money to invest. That's exactly why eliminating unnecessary status spending matters so much. Redirect the money that used to disappear on impulse purchases, expensive upgrades, or trying to impress other people. Even investing $50 or $100 every month can grow into something meaningful over time. The biggest obstacle usually isn't a lack of money. It's waiting for the perfect moment, because every year you delay investing is a year that compound growth never gets back. So let's step back and look at the bigger picture. One path is built around appearances, a luxury lifestyle, an expensive vehicle, constantly posting every achievement, always chasing the next shortcut or quick win. The result is often financial stress, endless payments, and the exhausting pressure of keeping up an image. The other path looks much quieter. Live below your means. Protect your goals. Automate your investing. Make a few intentional sacrifices today. And over time, you wake up financially free before most people even realize what you've been building. That's the difference. Not extraordinary intelligence, not incredible luck, just consistently making better decisions. At the end of the day, real wealth is rarely loud. It doesn't need attention. It doesn't need applause. It grows quietly, year after year. And by the time people finally notice, the hard work has already been done. You've already built the freedom they were too busy trying to imitate. Because this has never been only about money. It's about who you choose to become. Will you be the person who spends to impress everyone else? Or the person who quietly builds a life where approval from other people no longer matters? You don't have to make a massive change overnight. Start with one decision this week. Cut one unnecessary expense. Invest that money instead. And don't tell anyone. Let the results speak for themselves. Real luxury isn't the car in your driveway or the watch on your wrist. Real luxury is having complete control over your time, your choices, and your future. It's the freedom to never feel like you have to prove anything to anyone ever again. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe for more practical strategies to build lasting wealth. But more importantly, don't wait. Time is going to pass whether you invest in your future or not. The only question is where you'll be when it does.